Nigeria today is the highest in Africa, but the second highest in the world country where you have children with stunted growth. Under fives, 1 out of every 3 children in Nigeria under the age of 5 is stunted. We have 11 million, and that is after India. But India's population is over 1 billion, and they have 44 million children who are stunted. Nigeria, with our small population relative to India, we have 11 million children who are stunted out of our 32, 33 million under fives. And what this does is that as soon as they become stunted, it is irreversible. And it's coming from 2 sources. Number 1 is water. Very poor water, sanitation, and hygiene. If they have too many bouts of diarrhea before the age of 2, they become stunted for life. Then the second area is nutrition, is in the area of food and the kind of food they eat. And the FAO tells us that 40% of the body's dry matter is protein. And intake of animal protein in Nigeria is at present 4.8 grams per head per day, as against the recommended 35 grams. So we have a massive protein gap, both for adults and for children. And according to UNICEF, protein energy malnutrition is a common nutritional disorder found in under fives in Nigeria, contributing to stunting and wasting, and increases the risk of infection and leads to many deaths. In Nigeria, up to 70,000 children die a year as a result of this serious malnutrition. Now looking at operational inefficiencies, 11 trillion is what was reportedly lost to corruption in the power sector between 1999 and 2017. 11 trillion naira. Embezzlement and mismanagement, and you don't even need to take my word for it. Why do we have partial closures of our borders at the moment? And what is it doing to the movement of petroleum products? You know that we have really been financing and carrying the burden of smugglers. It's been very highly placed smugglers who have been driving that part of the economy. In 2016 alone, Nigerian officials reportedly collected an estimated 82.3 million bribes, totaling 4.6 billion. That's from a study by UNODC and the Bureau for Statistics. Bribe-paying Nigerians spend an average of $28,200. That's about $80 annually. Remember, 84% of Nigerians earn less than $2 a day. So if on average they're paying this much, I just want you to see how much is involved. So who could be the main beneficiary of this CBN policy? Is it, as School of Thought A has said, that it is going to be for the good of the economy, or is it, as is being insinuated by School of Thought B, that perhaps it will be special interests who have the access and have the power to take the most advantage of what is currently happening? So in whose interest do we make regulation? And this will be my final slide for now. The question we would like to ask ourselves today in this forum is it in the public interest? This choice by the CBN, is it going to be in the public interest in the short term, in the medium term, in the long term? In whose interest is this policy? The barrage of actions from CBN and other regulators, are they coordinated and mutually supporting? Will rules and standards be applied fairly to all? Are the actions targeted properly at solving problems in ways that minimize unintended consequences? Was communication around the actions open and honest? Will the CBN be accountable, or will it resist this public scrutiny of their actions? Are they prepared to justify the actions? And the CBN approach to regulation, is it flexible enough to keep up with the pace of needs of the affected industries and the development of the nation?
The impact is more on the common man on the streets. And if you permit me to say, you and I are also part of those common men on the streets, because each and every one of us has become a local government on our own. We provide our own water, we provide our own light. So what would like to see is for the government to go back to the drawing table. When you make a mistake, it's even honorable to say, okay, I made a mistake. Let me replan or rethink. That's what we'd like to see the government to do. Engage the stakeholders. Who are the people that are the stakeholders? We have the private sector, because they contribute more to the GDP. We have the civil society, who are working closely with people living in poverty and exclusion. We have the media, who projects what we do outside. And other relevant people, citizens themselves. Go back and engage them and say, okay, this is the challenge we have. Like one of the panelists said, the challenge is we don't have the forests. So how do we manage this in the next few years? So we want a plan, an action plan on how to manage the little forests that we have, the challenges that we're having, but you can't take that decision alone as a government. You can't even take the decision alone as a regulatory body. And that's why we're drawing the attention of both the government and the central bank to say, okay, let's pull you back a little bit. Don't take the decision on our behalf or on behalf of the citizens. Call us on the table. Let's agree together on how to solve this problem. It's a common problem, so let's solve it together. That's what we'd like to see. From this meeting, we know there will be communication. We know there will be a note to say to the government, this is it. They were invited, but not all of them are here. So we'll also be willing to give them feedback on this to ensure that, look, the interest of the larger population that are living under poverty should be taken into consideration so that we don't break down completely, so that the entire country is not thrown into abject poverty.
We do appreciate that there is a need to conserve the foreign exchange that we have, but let's have an open and honest conversation around what needs to happen, how it should happen, and what should be prioritized.